Hi guys, how are you today? We are doing day 4 of Christmas in July and we're doing the most amazing cherry brioche wreath. Now I have some hints and tips to make this so much quicker, simple, less bowl washing for you. So come along, let's cook together and let me show you how simple this is to make this really impressive centerpiece for your table, whether it's Christmas in July or whether it's Christmas or whether it's just a special occasion. Now the first thing you will do is you'll actually reverse this recipe. So I'm actually not going to show you though, because I have made this now a couple of times in the last 10 days because the video didn't record with sound, and prior to that I did it with a customer cook along. Every Saturday I do a customer connection cook along online, and I did it then as well, and I actually still have the beautiful spice mix. So I'm not going to show you how easy that is to mill down, because it's literally throw it all in and spin the dial. But what I am going to tell you to do is do it first. The recipe normally has you make the brioche, clean and dry the mixing bowl, make spice mix. But if you do it that way, you have to have a clean and dry mixing bowl. If you make your spice mix first in your clean bowl, then you pour it aside, leave the residue in the bowl and make your brioche on top. Okay, makes sense? So start halfway through, spice mix first. Now, I'm not going to do that, got leftovers. So, and by the way, leftovers are amazing with hot cross buns. So if it makes it till Easter, hot cross buns is phenomenal with this stuff in it. Now, the brioche. Now, what makes a brioche is the butter, the milk, and the egg. Now, I'm actually omitting the egg. I find without the egg, it is a much lighter, fluffier dough, so I am changing this up a little bit too, okay? I'm making it Lisa style. Do it both ways, see which one you like better. I just find it's a bit more dense with the egg in it. So let's get cooking. Let's get along straight away. It tells me to get my tray ready. We'll do that in part 2. I'm going to break this into 2 parts because you guys don't want to stand here for an hour watching it prove. So I'll come back for that portion once it's proved and show you how to treat that. I'm just going to use the leftover of my raw sugar there, and I've only got 15 grams in there. That'll do. I don't actually want it overly sweet anyway. My kids don't normally do this sort of sweet food anyway. So now some full cream milk. I'm actually going to use some leftover whey today just because I made ricotta on the weekend. I'm going to show you, actually I've showed you that video. I've put that video up. I'll link it in the comments below. And this is the leftover whey. You never let the whey go to waste. So I am going to use my whey, 330 grams. It's a decent amount of whey. There we go, 337. This is great. You put it in breads, pastries. You can even make custard and porridge with it. Don't let it go to waste. I love it when you buy the milk and then you make it into a cheese product. You get the leftover whey. So you're actually getting 2 for the price of 1, which is pretty cool. Okay, 30 grams of fresh yeast or 3 teaspoons of dry yeast. So I've just got that in my little container here, which is about 10 grams if you're using the instant yeast and you've got a TM 5 or 6 and you want to weigh that, you'll be able to do that. It's very accurate. Now on with the lid. This is important. This step, we are warming up this milk, to 37 degrees. This is so that your yeast has a chance to start its activation process. If it is frozen and cold still because the milk has come out of the fridge at 2 degrees or whatever it might be, it can't actually do its job, and you'll find your dough it may not even prove. Sometimes it manages to get going and will prove. It'll take a long time, but sometimes it doesn't prove at all because it needs body temperature. It needs 37, 40 degrees to start that process, to start growing and producing the gases that we need to make a fluffy bread. So that's what this step's all about, and that's why it's important. When you're making breads that just have water in it, skip this step by actually just increasing up the temperature on your tap. So sometimes you can do yourself that favor there as well by just skipping this warm up step using some warmed water. But in the case of using a milk based product, then obviously it's coming out of a fridge. You can't really change that unless you use milk powder. I suppose you could if you use milk powder and warm water to mix up your milk powder. Then you could skip this step. You will see 37 degrees used in yogurts because again it's to do with that culturization. It's getting the cultures multiplying. If it's not warm, they can't do their job. Halloumi and feta and all those sorts of ones. I actually want to do feta by the end of the week for you guys. We'll see if that happens. It may be a next week job. because I've got that coming up in a recipe, and nothing better than making a homemade feta. And again, having your leftover whey, which becomes, you know, 2 for the price of 1. Who would have thought? So, and I'll use the whey in things that I would normally have made. Like I would have made this anyway, but I would have had to have gone to the shops and bought milk for it. I'm using my byproduct instead. So it's such a great trade-off. Now, I don't know if you guys can see in the top corner there of the screen, but you can see above 37 is a little 37. That means that the temperature is now correct, which is awesome. That's what we're looking for. We want that match up a temperature. It won't always match up. In some recipes, guided recipes, it won't get to temp because the Thermomix is smart enough to know that it's done what it needs to do. So don't worry about always matching up, but it is good to know that you could shortcut that and stop it early because it's already at 37 degrees. Okay, scrape down the sides. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll just give it a bit of a slosh. We're just getting that yeast that's stuck up the side to be part of my mix. Otherwise, it'll just remain up the sides. So, and being on that cold stainless steel bowl, although it's nice and warm at the bottom now, it won't obviously get used. Okay, butter. So now we're putting some butter in, and it's actually cold butter. So again, it's bringing that temperature down, and we want 80 grams. Oh, that'll do, 76. Okay, 1 teaspoon of salt. Salt and yeast are actually not good friends. They actually kill, the salt will kill yeast. So you've just got to make sure. I wouldn't delay now putting the flour in. I wouldn't walk away, answer a phone call, and then come back later because that salt will have actually interfered with the yeast's ability to do its job. Being that we're about to mix it now, not such a big deal though, okay? All right, 650. The other way you can get around that with the salt is actually put it in after. So today I've put it in as per recipe, but if you knew that you were going to get distracted and walk away, then you'd actually add it in afterwards. So you put the flour in, and then it's got that gap between the 2 products. I was just a little bit short on my flour, had to top it up. So this is actually quite a large batch. Most of our bread recipes are only 400 or 500 grams of flour. This one is our maximum, 650 of flour. 1 egg, I told you I was missing that. We're going to make this light and fluffy instead without it. On with the lid, and now it's going to combine for speed 7 tablespoons. So quick, let's have a look what's happening inside. It's moving that all around. Alright, so that's the combining. So if you're making breads, if you're making biscuits or cakes, you can imagine how quickly it's going to pull that dough together. Now it's asking us to scrape down the sides. That's so that we don't lose any of this in the kneading process because it's stuck to the sides. So we just scrape it down. We could scrape the lid off too. I'm not too worried about it. And then we're going to put it straight onto knead, and it's going to knead, I think, for 3 minutes. And I'll let you watch that process through the lid. I won't put the measuring cup on like it says. 3 minutes and off it goes to knead. Now this is the only time you don't walk away from your Thermomix. We do not need your Thermomix getting legs and falling onto the floor, okay? It is like an upright washing machine, and it can get momentum as this dough comes together into one clump and starts spinning around in there. It can start walking, so don't leave your Thermomix when it isn't needed. Please do not tempt fate. You can see in there now, can you guys see how it's got a big clump on one side? It is bringing that dough together into a clumpy ball to go round. Now, the kneading function is used for things like scones, obviously breads that you're seeing today, and sometimes you'll even see it on a recipe where it wants you to bring dry ingredients together. So it is represented with a little wheat symbol, which tells you you're on the kneading function. So look at it go in there. It's so cool how quickly it spins, and it's stretching that out. Now, when this comes out, we're going to let it prove for an hour. The reason we let it prove is we need to, number 1, let the gluten relax so that it's pliable, and number 2, let the bubbles of gas multiply in there. That's the concept behind proving dough. Now, I'm using my awesome Thermomat. Now, the new design ones are better. They actually have a beautiful big ring on them, okay, and you can get them for hosting a demonstration. And they're from in our mixer shop if you want one from there as well. But they are awesome that you don't have to flour them, okay? You can literally put your dough on top, wrap it up, and there's no mess. So I'm going to show you in a second how simple and quick it is for that. Now, we know when our dough has proven enough because it will have grown significantly, but also when you roll it out, it won't retract back. So in a moment when this comes out, I'll show you what that looks like, because the retracting back is the problem. Gluten is stressed, it's all tight and tensioned up, and it needs to prove to be able to relax and be used. And actually all cakes, biscuits, and all those things that have flour in it should be given the time to relax. That it's actually what should happen with it. Look at that ball coming together in there. Can you guys see how that's changed consistency and shape now? How cool is that? There's no kneading on a bench, and that's the thing. Once it comes out, we don't knead it. We do not want to make it tough. It'll make rock cakes if you do. So no need to knead it once it's out. It's going to come on the bench, and we're going to move it, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm looking forward to getting this out. Look at how amazing that dough looks. And can you guys see how it's got a bit of a wiggle here? It's really going to depend on your bench. So your bench and even how much dough is in there will depend on how much of movement it gets. Mine, isn't really moving much. Just checking it's not going to go off the back. But on your bench, it may move more. But you can even see the more it's coming together, the more wiggles it's got. Just put that dough in there. There you go. 10 seconds to go. We're nearly done. And then I'm going to show you this. I'll just move this camera around so you guys can see down here. Alright, this is my Thermomat. Sorry guys, you kind of can't see anything at the moment because it's on the mat. Alright, wait for the arms to release. Okay, look at that. See how it's come together in a beautiful big neat ball. Now the trick to getting your dough out is you use the cog on the bottom. So that you turn the cog, see that little cog? And it'll drop out into there. Now look how clean that's come out. Now if it doesn't come out clean, that's okay. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's so humidity dependent. So just grab out the bits that you can see, put it back in the machine, and then put it up to speed 10 for a couple of seconds. So I'm just going to take out of this recipe, speed 10. Can you hear how they're all scattering out to the sides? That's what we want, because now we can easily just grab them out. A bit like glue tack. You just kind of collect them together. But you can see there, all the little tiny speckles on the bottom are the leftover bits that have come out now. So I just grab a big chunk and I just rub it around inside, and that actually pretty much brings my bowl clean. But can you imagine if you followed the recipe exactly as it's asking you to, how now you'd have to clean and dry that bowl, because you don't want dough mix in something that can be stored in your cupboard for later, at Easter time. Yeah, so you want to, that's why you do it reverse. Spice mix first, no need to clean the bowl out, make your dough. Alrighty, so let me show you this. Let me just quickly show you the dough. So here's this beautiful dough. It's such a beautiful feeling dough brioche because it's got that butter in it. But we're going to now wrap this up. So it's in one big pile. That's all you really want it to be. And in the middle of the mat, fold it over. Oops, it's picked up something. The mats are a little bit static at times. Just give it a push down. I find it's easier to handle and stuff if it's flat. Fold the edges in and fold it over. And now, there was flour on my bench apparently, but now that is ready to sit there, and I will come back in an hour and I'm going to show you how we divide this. We put a beautiful filling in it, we roll it up, and we plait it together and make it into a beautiful wreath. So I look forward to seeing you in an hour's time once this is light and fluffy. So we'll see you soon. Okay guys, so my dough has rested and it's come out of the Thermomat beautifully, and I've divided it in two. Now for ease of time, I've already rolled one, but I'm going to show you this process of rolling the second one. So let me just show you what we do with it here and how we treat it, so that then I'll show you how to plait it. So rolling this out about the length of my Thermomat, pushing the whole mat around, there we go. And you can see it's not retracting in at all. That's how you know your gluten is ready to go. That's how you know your dough is ready to actually be rolled and used, whether it be for bread rolls or pizza, or whether you're making wraps or something like that. This is the indication that it's good to go. So that'll do me there. It's not quite as long as the other one, but you'll find that it'll stretch out as we go. So I'm going to put some sultanas on because kids have eaten all the cranberries and this is my third batch, so no cranberries left, but sultanas will do. And the beautiful thing is you can put anything into this. You can put caramel syrup, you could be putting chocolate chips, you could make it macadamia and some white chocolate. That would be amazing. There's so many things you can put into it. Now I'm putting the beautiful spice mix in, and then just trying to leave a gap on this side. Then some cherries to finish off. Need to save a few cherries and a few of all the different elements to go on top at the end before it goes in the oven. Alright, that. Doesn't matter that they're in a line. I just find it easier to do it in a line because when we plait it, it'll all move it about anyway. So now we pick up our edge and we put it over our cherries. And then we scroll it up a bit like you would if you were doing scrolls. Haven't done that video yet for you guys, but I will do it in the coming weeks, I'm sure. So roll it over, tuck it over, and then at the very end you pick the last bit up, and rather than rolling it, if you continue to roll it, it'll roll the stuffing out. So instead we lift the bottom part over the top. Okay, so we lift that over the top, and now we have ourselves a log. Now don't worry about the fact that it looks a little bit unneat down there. Is that even a word? I don't know. Just stretch it out a bit, and this is where it becomes about the same length as your other one. The other thing you want to do is roll it upside down. You want this join line to be on the bottom. So I'm just going to roll that over, and I'm going to roll this one over because this one was up the other way too. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to join an end. So I'm going to grab two of the ends, I'm going to tuck them together and just give it a little crease together, and we're going to be ready to get started. So what we're doing here is we're going to take the one that's on the bottom of that join line and lift it up. Just wiggle you guys a little bit so you can see what's going on down here. There's our join, and we're going to drop it over the top. Okay, then we'll bring this one sideways a little bit. This is actually a little bit easier if you've got two sets of hands, but we can do it with one. And then we're going to go over the top. And then we're going to swap our hands over and go over the top. I'm going to go over the top. So we're just rolling this around till we get to the end. Now at the beginning here, you can see it's a bit loose. That's okay, just open it up again. It comes apart fairly easily, how long as you haven't done too good of a job at it. And I'm just twisting that to the underneath. And then there we go. So now we're going to bring our ends together to make our wreath. You are still on the camera a little bit, just get you guys so you can see it. And just going to bring our ends together and tuck them together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting on the top, just give it a poke so it stays together. We're going to be dressing it on the top with ordinarily some melted butter, but I haven't actually got that out yet. I'm going to put the melted butter on at the end when it comes out the oven, so glaze it with that melted butter. And I'm going to put some of this beautiful spice mix on top. You can see there's even some left over for next time. Like there's so much of this stuff. It's beautiful. And as I said, hot cross buns, absolutely amazing. Even if you're just making a bread next time, put some of this into it and you've got your own raisin toast style bread. Okay, on with some cranberries. No, sorry, sultanas in my case now. They may or may not stay. On with some leftover cherries. Putting them around. Tuck them into the crease lines. And we are pretty much done then. So that is how you make your cherry brioche wreath. Now that's going to go onto a tray. It's going to go into the oven for 40 to 45 minutes and it's going to enlarge. So don't put it on a small tray. You nearly need like a pizza size tray because it's going to grow pretty much nearly half that size again. So as you cook it. So that's how easy it is. I hope you'll give this a go in your Thermomix. Reach out if I can help in any way with your Thermomixing. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel so that you can get the updates as every day I'm putting a new video up. This is your recipe library to come to if you'd like videos to just cook along with or get inspiration or hints and tips for your Thermomixing. So thanks for joining me today, and I do hope that you will give this a go. It is so tasty, it is so simple, it is so impressive, and now you've seen how to do it, I think you guys can all do it. So please have a go and show us your pictures when you do, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.